Hello, everyone. Welcome to the cover reveal of Murder on the Interstellar Express, the first book in the brand new science fiction series by Gregory D. Little. It is called Bell Begrudgingly Solves It. And it seems like a very interesting series title. But when you get a little glimpse, I think you're going to see how much it definitely is the appropriate series title. What do you think, Greg?
Yes.
Yes.
Bell
Yeah.
Bell doesn't like to do work, so
Period. It's awesome. So it's wonderful. It totally works. Went through a whole list of series title. We're like, yeah, that one. I think you came up with that one like third, right? And we're like, no, it's an adverb. Blah blah blah. We kept going, and we are like, no, that's the one. That's
yeah,
how
it,
it
it was
works.
so it was so sort of absurdly long and overwrought that it seemed like the right call for
Right?
it.
It totally works. It fits the series. But we don't want to torture you too much because we're excited. We would rather look at the cover than our faces as well. So let us reveal the cover. Yay! Look at that gorgeous piece of work. Oh, I just love it.
Yes,
So
it's
the
awesome.
artist is Tithi. I do not remember their last name because I will pronounce it incorrectly. But they are in oh my gosh, I'm forget it. Was it anyways, they're out in the east somewhere. But Greg and I have been an admirer of their work for a while. We've used their work for all kinds of things like stock art. And this time we were like, oh, you know what? Could you please make a piece of art for us? And they were like, sure. You know, the cool thing, Greg, I don't know if I told you, they don't speak English.
Oh wow.
So this was all Google Translate back and forth.
Oh no, I didn't know that. That's exciting.
So Google Translate back and forth, and they came up with stunning artwork. And then, of course, we used our trusty Lena Shore, who does so much work for us. And she made this beautiful cover on there. And then, Greg, what was the first thing you said when you got the complete cover? Do you remember?
Um, no, I don't.
No, I laughed because I'm looking at the colors. I'm like, I don't know. Is that what we should do? Is that what it is? And Greg's like, orange is my favorite color. I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
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 we're
yeah, yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, Greg, can you tell us? I want to. Well, first, let me read the back cover copy, and then I'm going to ask you a little bit about this. And Zapo also should have the full art because we want you to see the full piece of art as well
Yeah.
because it is stunning, and you're going to be seeing that in a lot of places. So let me read the back cover copy first. Belle's lifelong wish was to leave her colony world. She should have been more specific. In the face of an existential threat to her world, an impending alien invasion, Belle Beauregard does something unprecedented: her job. She's rewarded by being labeled a traitor, sentenced to indentured servitude, and shipped off world on a half built colony ship, being used as an escape hatch for the rich and powerful. When Belle is woken from cryosleep as part of an emergency maintenance crew, before she even has a chance to shirk her duties or flirt with the enticing tasks, things go full OF me when a fellow prisoner is brutally murdered, and Belle is the most obvious suspect. To have any chance with tasks and, like, clear her name and stuff, Belle must begrudgingly solve the murder. But false accusations, unrequited romance, and having to make an effort are the least of Belle's concerns, because the killer isn't content to stop at one victim. And if Belle can't unravel the mystery, the only way to prove her innocence may be to turn up dead. So, yay! I mean, that's one way to prove that it's not you, right?
Yeah, it's just obviously not the ideal way,
It's just not
you
the
know.
ideal way. So Belle is wonderful. Like the very first version of this is everyone who knows Greg, his first the first drafts that he sends me are a little rough. As in they're fun, they're incredible, they've got a great storyline, but you pants it, right? So you just I see you, right? And so they're a little rough, but I fell in love with her instantly. I was like, I don't care what she's doing. And I wouldn't even call her lovable. So can you please tell us a little bit about Belle, where you got her from, and how you are able to balance this dichotomy from really not likable to, oh my gosh, I love her.
Um, Belle, it's interesting. Of all the characters I've ever written, Belle is the one that is the most sort of alive in my head. I don't know what that says about me, but she's been around in some form in my head for a long time now, many years, waiting for the character. This is the other thing is the character. Usually, the character doesn't come first. Usually, some part of the story comes first. In this case, the character's been around waiting for the right story to attach itself to her. And for years, it was like she's like poking on the inside of my head, like, "Hey, when's it my turn? When's it my turn?" And so uh, she is a total allergy to authority, especially any authority directed at her. She is very irreverent, very foul-mouthed, loves dirty jokes, and um, uh, but generally, I think part of the likability factor comes is that she generally punches up, not down. She doesn't.
Hmm.
I try not to have her be a bully.
A bully, yeah, that's true. It's a good point.
She generally takes on people that she genuinely thinks are jerks, whether just jerks to her or overall jerks. She's very much does not like rich, powerful individuals. Doesn't like overbearing authority. And I don't know, she's just a ton of fun to write. It's very cathartic writing Belle because anything you're frustrated by, you can just sort of
Express it.
funnel through her and and watch her go off on it.
Well, she doesn't have a filter of her own, so.
No, not at all.
And considering she has no biology in her, right? So tell us a little bit about, because that is her on the cover. So that is
Yes,
Belle right there in the cover.
planet she comes from, which is a planet that people who have read my murder or sorry, other series, Mutagen Deception
Mhm.
series have caught a brief glimpse of at the end of book two, and we'll
It's
get
featured
more
in book
of
3, though.
yeah, and will be in setting of book three is an extremely harsh world, very too close to its sun, tidally locked, so the one side is boiling hot, the other's freezing cold all the time. So the humans there have adapted by replacing large portions of their biology with cybernetics to make their, calorie requirements lower, to just generally be able to tolerate harsh conditions better. Belle, being the extremely extra person that she is, has decided to go all the way with this, replace every part of herself, including her brain, with cybernetic replacements. But don't try telling her she's not a person, she's a robot, because she doesn't like that. Um, and
She
so,
still has her soul.
yes,
Whatever that means.
whatever that means,
This
she's
girl has
still,
soul. Yeah.
yes. Um, and she likes to sort of lord it over people who have kind of frail meat bodies, as she would consider them. That she is this sort of superior cybernetic being. But yeah, so like I said, she's a ton of fun for me to write. Hopefully for everyone else to read.
Oh, she is. She's wonderful. I cannot wait till everyone gets a glimpse. Let's see. Jess Rainey says it's boss AF. Susan Little says cover is beautiful. What else do we have? There's a lot to admire here, Jen says, but the orange letters really pop and I love it. Yeah, for sure. Um, the we are a fan at Curse Dragon Ship, to let you know that it is a series. This is a series. They're going to be a bunch of murder mysteries. That's kind of the fun part, right? That Belle
Yep.
begrudgingly has to solve. And then the title. So give us a little bit about why we were inspired by this title.
Well, obviously the classic. What the reason I sort of picked this story is I actually played a independent video game a couple years ago that was a time loop set on a starship where someone was getting murdered every night, someone new, and you had to guess who it was. And the cast of characters stayed the same, but who was responsible would change every time. So I was like, that's a fun concept. What a fun little closed room mystery.
Mm-hmm.
I took out the time loop premise, but so it'd be fun to write a book with that kind of basic premise. And
Mm-hmm.
then um, my wife Debbie, who has for years been telling me to write a funny book, I said, well, Belle would be a funny book. So I said, let's combine these two things together. Murder on the Interstellar Express is obviously a riff
A
on a
nod.
famous, a nod, a much more famous book. Which is maybe it's a sign of how irreverent this character is, that she would sort of lump herself in with that particular author.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In
The
terms of,
greats.
I mean, that was kind of a
They would have got along, I think.
yeah. Well, that was we kind of joked for a while with the series title of calling it something like most prestigious mystery series or something very like over the top, like or prestigious mystery classics or something that would sound extremely pretentious, which would be the exact opposite of what it is. So, um, yeah. So since they're on this colony ship,
Mhm.
in the story, that's where the story sort of kicks off as her getting railroaded onto this colony ship. Murder on the Interstellar Express felt like a very apt title and would tell everyone exactly what they were getting. So,
For sure. And this is our first hard sci-fi, so we're really it's really really fun to play in this world. And it is funny, but it's not the story is not funny. Belle's funny. So that's one
yes,
thing to remember too, right? Like this is not a satire. This is not this book
no,
is not written around the humor all the time. But the it's really that Belle is funny. And then there
yeah,
are some things in it that are just normal world things that she finds hilarious and we're like, that is funny, right? Like a good stand-up comic, right? Or a good stand-up
right.
comic takes real life stuff and makes us realize how ridiculous it is, and Belle does that really well.
She's good at pointing out absurdism,
Mhm.
and being very annoyed by it in a funny way. It was part of what she's funny is how annoyed she gets at things. It's different than like a character like Mari in my other series who's funny, but she's funny without knowing she's funny, and that's why it is she does funny things that she doesn't think of as that way. Belle knows she's funny, thinks maybe a little too highly of the fact that she's funny, and will love to flaunt it in your face all the time. So,
But I will tell you, for fans of Greg, don't worry, the gross is still in there. I mean, there are
yes,
murders,
yeah,
and the
and
aliens are pretty gross too.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and the humor has an edge to it for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's
for
it's
sure.
it's a dark comedy in a lot of ways.
Uh-huh. I love it. I love
So
it. Well, while Zepho is trying to get the full art up, I would like to end with that so we can explore this whole piece of art. But before that, why don't we go ahead and dive right into the reading? What do you have to let us know so we're not too lost?
this scene is the chapter where she wakes up after having been, unbeknownst to her, put aboard this ship, after getting, after getting in legal trouble.
Mhm.
She is sort of through various incidents ends up on the ship without realizing that's what's happened to her, and she's waking up out of cryo sleep. And this is going to be super awkward to read with my mom watching from the standpoint of how many swear words I'm about to read. But anyway,
Don't worry, she's about to mute it. We're good.
here we go. So this is the chapter is called "Late to Her Own Going Away Party." The first thought Belle had was that she was asleep. Sleep was kind of a nebulous concept for her all synthetic brain, but she wasn't conscious when she slept, ever. Stranger still was how cold it was. Not even Shadyside Underground cold, where she'd spent all that time getting her brain replaced. This was Shadyside surface cold, where nobody lived because living was impossible. Eventually, the confusion and resulting irritation were enough to snap her eyes open. Scratch that. Upon further review, they were enough to let her eyelids ooze slowly open as though held together by tar. What the ever-loving fuck-a-duck is wrong with me? This was like a full reboot of her systems, something she never did unless things got really hinky. The ability to focus, either on thoughts or her visual field, returned begrudgingly. But gradually, Belle became aware that she was staring up at a blue-white glaze of material, within which she could see a faint reflection of her own drunk-ass-looking face. It was one of many times she regretted telling the cultists who had carved up her brain that she still wanted to think and physically behave in nearly all the same ways she had when she'd been made of meat. Ice, one of her modules whispered, pattern matching intuition, she couldn't tell which. Frost, it amended. Cryosleep. Oh, fuck, Belle thought. Oh, fuck, she shouted. The words echoed painfully inside the clear, close confines of what she now realized was a cryopod. Shit me, fuck, I'm on board. Good morning, said a painfully chipper electronic voice. It presented as male, though was at the falsetto end of that spectrum, and sounded as if it was inside the cryopod with her. Actually, the concept of mourning lacks objective meaning aboard ship, and even taking into consideration the subjective shipboard schedule, it is not, in fact, mourning by any definition. But my conditioning suggests that wishing good morning to a crew member who is just coming out of cryostasis is the politest way to begin a working relationship. She was nearly as freaked out by the disembodied voice as by the fact that she was apparently already aboard the ship. It wasn't supposed to launch for months, if not years. She realized some part of her had been sure she'd have time to weasel her way out of the situation, find herself a new lawyer, and start an appeal. Who is speaking right now? Belle asked. The voice wasn't generated by human vocal cords. That much was obvious to her linguist's ear. but it was also way too advanced for the dumb computer interfaces she was used to dealing with. I am the ship's brain. Even though it was half what she'd expected to hear, the confirmation brought Belle up short. Anaranjado doesn't do artificial intelligence. It wasn't quite a law, but a custom as strong as. Cybernetic augmentation and replacement of human body parts was both permitted and encouraged, because on a planet where growing food was next door to impossible, anything the citizenry could do to reduce overall caloric needs was preferable. Power cells were cheap to charge with access to infinite solar energy, but apples didn't like to grow in oppressive heat, abyssal cold, or a lack of surface atmosphere. But all replacement of meat stopped at the blood-brain barrier. Harmony, the ubiquitous parasitic organism that kept people from killing each other if you believed the brochure, needed a meat brain to live and make its puppets dance, plus some source of oxygen and nutrients for said brain. All of which meant synthetic intelligence was more than frowned upon, lest somebody get the idea to do exactly what Bell had already done. I am not artificial. In fact, I am an organic brain grown for the express purpose of piloting and maintaining the ship, its passengers, and its crew. Oh, well, never mind all that previous stuff. That being said, I should warn you that the accelerated launch schedule resulted in the truncation of my conditioning period. In the interest of full disclosure, though I am organic in nature, I am currently suffering from numerous quirks which you might equate to bugs and potential exploits were I a synthetic panda bear onion grass. Was that one of the bugs? Was what one of the bugs? Did I say something nonsensical? If you would please fill out an error report, I can. You know what? Never mind. I appreciate the warning. It's all very alarming. But can I get out of this pod now? Belle's teeth were beginning to chatter. Perceiving and reacting to cold was a holdover from her meat sack days, but some of her systems must still be in reboot diagnostic because she was having trouble remembering how to turn off temperature sensation. Of course, your cryopod diagnostics have completed and you are operating within normal parameters. This is welcome news. You were the only member of the crew who was already unconscious when brought aboard and put in cryostasis, and unpredictable interactions in such scenarios have been known to. Just open the pod, please. The pod door sprang open as if its hinge was spring-loaded. Moving joints that shrieked with pain simulating feedback, Belle rose, unable to stop a series of groans as she forced herself first to bend enough to climb free, then to straighten again. It didn't seem fair that both actions hurt. Finishing its boot cycle at last, her HUD began attempting to establish connection with any local network, but all it returned were errors and troubleshooting queries. There was not even a local chronometer as far as she could tell, and the bailiff's weapon had left bells blinking 12 o'clock. The damage didn't seem to be permanent, but she needed something external to sink back to. But that was for later. Now she had more pressing concerns. Bell spun up the bullshitometer. This wasn't an actual module in her overall brainoplex, though not for any lack of trying, but it might as well have been. The more she thought about the ship brain's self-admitted limitations, the more hopeful she felt. With any luck, she could talk herself off the ship, then secure a berth on one of the alien trade vessels that routinely came and went from the orbital platforms. A local, friendly-ish one, not one of the weird invaders currently eating her colony. Citizens of Anaranjado were forbidden direct contact with any of the aliens, even though the Equatorians were happy to make money off the goods only such beings could provide. But persistent rumors held that plenty of citizens managed to break that rule, and Belle wasn't even a citizen any longer. The one certainty was that she could never go planet-side again, which was perfectly fine by her. Let the aliens choke on it, and both groups die in the result, like a shitty alligator being eaten by a slightly less shitty python. So listen, brain, there's been a terrible mistake, and it's critically important to the war effort that I disembark before the ship breaks orbit. How long was I out, anyway? Belle tried to keep up an air of urgency, but spoiled it by cracking a wide yawn. It was so irritating. She was entirely synthetic, brain and all, yet nothing seemed capable of weeding the urge to yawn out of the species. But she wasn't that worried about the answer. She had internal fail-safes to prevent her from being unconscious for too long, whatever the cause. Heller's bailiff's little stun gun hadn't done any real damage as far as she could tell, which meant you were unconscious for approximately 22.7 years. All thought of aches and pains fled as Belle tried to process this statement. Not possible. Her voice was firm as she repeated her own previous thought aloud. I have fail-safes to keep me from being unconscious for that, she trailed off, a nauseating thought occurring to her. Yes, indeed, said the brain. Fail-safes which can be rendered inactive by extreme cold. That's why we had to put you in cryosleep despite your being at the extreme end of the synthetic physiology. Fuck! For the first time, Belle noticed the hum of the ship around her, a noticeable vibration she felt throughout her body. She'd never been on board an interstellar ship before, or any kind of ship. but it seemed strange that the stationary one with its primary drive powered down would vibrate. It was not a particularly even vibration either, but she couldn't let it go. That's another one of the ticks you mentioned, right? Your internal clock is off? It can't be. We can't have left already. I can't have lost 23 years. Negative. I am pleased to report that my chronometer is functioning perfectly. No degradation to its performance has been observed for the entirety of the journey. We are approximately 99.94% of the way to our destination. I don't understand. This ship wasn't supposed to depart for months. Did they put me in cryo as soon as they hauled me out of the courtroom? Just how accelerated was this launch sketch? Oh, those fuckers. She didn't need the explanation anymore, but the ship's brain was going to give her one anyway. We departed approximately 1 day after your appearance. It was determined that with the clear and present threat the alien incursion represented, the ship needed to depart at once. And let me guess, Bell said, all the richest and most powerful assholes in the colony are the passengers. It had to be the case. There had been talks of a lottery for others to join the passenger list, but there hadn't been any time for that. The colony's shitheel elite had just cut and run. I'm afraid I'm not permitted to discuss passenger manifest details at this time, or any time. And now, if you'll join me in the crew ready room, Staff Sergeant Dietrich Horvath, it's time for your orientation. What?
Oh, awesome. Oh my gosh. That Northern Light says, keep going.
Well, that's a good sign.
It's a good sign. It's so awesome. Jen loves the oversharing issues of the ship.
Yeah.
If
Oh, just
only the
wait
ship would
then.
continue oversharing. No, I love it. It's just wonderful. It's just like all of your series. It's hard to talk too much about it, but it's easy to go into the world building on this, the characters in this. It's just incredible. Um, pre-order. The pre-order is up. So if you want to pre-order it now to make sure you don't miss it, link just got put up there. So that pre-order is up. Again, just like always, the cover is covered, but I will fix it up there and it will be up and beautiful. But yeah, it's nice when if you see this, you're like, I want to pre-order it. You can just do that now. Um, and then if you're watching this later, the link will be in the show notes so that you will be able to pre-order this baby. But we're really excited about it. So who do you think like who would love this book, Greg? Like what kind of reader?
Oh, I mean, if you're a murder mystery fan, if you're a science fiction fan, if you're a comedy fan,
Mhm.
all the genres it represents, basically. Um, I'm trying to think. I'm still putting together a list of, comparable titles for us to use, but
That's always the hard
um,
part.
yeah, yeah,
Especially this
but
book. It is extremely unique, as all your books are. You do this on purpose. I'm convinced.
Thanks.
Yeah, Nicole Haskell says that this sounds fantastic. It really, really is. Um, but yeah, but definitely, and notice like I called it like it's our first like hard sci-fi, but it's not hard as in all the details of how the ship works or all the mechanics. Those are not in there. But the really cool stuff, like she has different parts of her brain because her brain is mechanical now, right? So she has different parts that she argues with, and I love that. So, I mean, we all argue with our own brain anyways, except for her,
Yeah,
it's literal.
yeah. I wanted that to be represented. Plus, there's a lot of. It's like where she'll try to like there's parts of her brain that she neglects or doesn't give enough to do, and they get mad, and she tortures them further because of that. And so, just a general. She's just kind of an ass. I mean,
She really is. Oh, but I love her. She's one I really wouldn't want her to be a coworker, but I'd sit at a bar with her, man.
oh yeah, no, you
Yeah,
definitely wouldn't want to be her coworker. That would be horrible.
no.
But yeah, she'd be a fun night out for sure.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure. Yeah, she's awesome. Well, I adore her. And then, Kevin, as we run away for this evening, and shirk responsibility, just for Belle. We're doing it just for Belle. We're going to shirk responsibility for the rest of the day. Can we see the full art? Did you find a way to post it up there? Savo.
Dun dun
There you
ooh,
go.
dun.
yes,
Look at
yeah,
that.
that's nice.
So you see the whole thing. So you can see the whole ship on the side, right? We've got Belle, and if you want to know why she's outside of the ship, read the book. And
Hmm.
then the planet, because remember they're heading to another planet.
Yeah.
So that is the whole planet they're heading to, so that they can colonize at least all the rich jerkwads, while everyone else gets to be their servants.
Hmm.
So, But
Yep.
this is why, by the way, you get like a real artist to do this beautiful work. Safo, can you scoot, even if you cover me and Greg up so it's off the, because it's
Yeah,
hard to see with the
you
under
don't
the
need to see
cover.
us.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you don't need to see us. Look at the art. So that we can pull it down. Because when you see the book to the side, there. He's like, I'm gonna make it biggie size. The cool part with this, that's cool because now it's at least clear what's the art and what's the book cover. The moon, like the artist put the moon in there, and so I call Graham like, is there a moon? He's like, there can be. I that part doesn't matter for
I
my
never
story.
say there's
So
no moon, so that's
that's
fine.
so it just looks so cool. Like this artist completely captured it. And for me, the fun part was sending it to Greg and Greg going, ooh.
Yeah. No, I mean it's an actual scene in the book. It's not like
Yes.
a abstract representation of what's in it. It's an actual. This is an act. We picked a couple different scenes that the artist could choose from, and so this is an actual scene.
And I chose this one.
So
And
yeah,
I love it. Yeah, so it's stunning. I can't wait. It's like now not only do I get the excitement of reading book 2, I also get the excitement of seeing the art for book 2. So we've got this whole thing going now, so it's wonderful.
the book two is
So
going to have some really cool backdrop potential for art too.
so
Uh,
so for
just
everyone
saying.
out there, he's awesome. And I'll put the artist link in the show notes so that y'all will be able to get that. But thanks, Safo. That was great. All right, so Greg, for everyone who is like, this is so cool, and I'm so glad I have discovered you, Greg. What else can I read by you? Where can fans find you and your work?
Well, I'm at gregorydlittle.com. My other series with Cursed Dragon Ship is Mutagen Deception. It's set in the same universe as this series. In fact, if you read all the way through book 2, which is the current furthest book out, although that will change in a month, um, you will actually get a very brief cameo appearance of Bell at the end tail end of book 2. It was kind of the crossover point of the two series. And that's a bit different. That's more of a science fiction horror thriller, kind of story. And then I also have a self-published epic fantasy series called Unwilling Souls, that is 4 books long. It's complete, and you can find that on Amazon. You can find all of these on Amazon, or go to my website. There's links. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. You can find me any old place. I don't check all of my social medias all the time, but I will get back to you eventually if you message me. So send me an email at gregory@gregorydlittle.com if you want to hear from me quickly. Then, or you can join our publisher Discord,
Yep,
where you can talk to that.
curseddragonship.com/discord. We're on
That's
there all the
actually the
time.
best place to reach all of us because most of us check that pretty much daily. So
Exactly. Just I just saw Just Rainey's comment says that that's no moon, that's a spaceship. Or it's a space station, sorry. That's no
yes,
moon, that's a space station.
don't spoil it, Rainey.
Well, it is now. Hold on, let me get to
Yeah.
I love it. Excellent, excellent. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for coming along on this wonderful journey that we are doing. And because you keep reading, we get to keep presenting these incredible works for you. So we are really, really excited about this one and can't wait to hear what you think. And also, if you want early copy, join Discord, or, follow Greg on any of his things. Can they join your newsletter from your website?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So if you also join his newsletter through there, we'll go out and make sure that you can get an early copy of this baby. So thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.